Coming in at $440, but on sale for $400 right now, is the Magic Notepad by XP-Pen. This is a pretty interesting tablet. It does a lot of things differently from regular full-fledged tablets, and it also straddles the fence between being your everyday tablet and also being a really good note-taking device, something like a Remarkable Paper Pro. So what I'll show you today is the tablet itself and some of the unique features that it offers. I'll try my best to do a lighting test and compare it to an iPad and a Remarkable Paper Pro. Now, it's not a perfect comparison because, well, there's one big challenge, and that is the viewing angles. When you view this tablet dead on, especially through a camera lens, so you guys are watching this on YouTube, it's going to seem like any other tablet. But as soon as you change that focal point and you're looking at it from the sides, you start to understand that the way that I think it's called light diffusion works, the shtick here, the cool thing about it is that it's great in direct sunlight. It feels more like writing on paper than an iPad would, but in exchange, you have to really look dead on in order to get the best visibility of whatever it is you're looking at. So when I put it side by side with an iPad Pro, it probably looks pretty good to you guys right now. But as soon as I shine a light, you start to see some of the differences. So if I put the light directly on the words here oh, did I have to pick something? How about this? A reluctant air. I don't know, some kind of manga language over here. A reluctant air, it looks fine. It doesn't look any more challenging to read than it did before. Just the part where the light is shining on it, right? Not the actual, this yellow part, okay? So, yep, looks fine. When I put it over here, you can see that there's way more, it's more blurry because that light is just bouncing directly off the glass screen. There's no absorption or diffusion happening. You can buy screen protectors that simulate this, but that's only part of the value proposition, okay? The other part is that you have a tablet that has stylus support by an excellent stylus, and I've used several, and it has built-in applications from XP-Pen to help make your stylus experience even better. It's not perfect, but it's better. And then there's something else that this does that iPads do not do. Check this out. Okay. Now at the top, we have our power button, and then this sneaky little button here that's next to the microphone array. When I press that button, it brings up 3 different X-Paper screen options. The current mode I'm in is Nature Color Mode. This is the closest to an everyday tablet color mode that you're going to find. There's also a Light Color Mode. Now, this uses Next Vision technology by TCL. When I enter this mode, the light diffusion and the direct sunlight absorption is even better. And then there's an ink paper mode, which is, as far as I can tell, identical to light color mode, except there is no color. It's entirely grayscale. So let's start with light color mode. When I enter this mode, you'll see this little animation and actually plays a sound that you probably can't hear. And you'll see the colors now are a bit muted. I mean, they're quite a bit muted, to be honest. This is what, if you've ever seen a color tablet, like the Amazon one, the Kindle Color or something. This is pretty much exactly what it looks like, but with a higher resolution. This is 1200p resolution. And it's better at reflecting light than the other mode because there's a lower color scale. So I think that's the reason that it's even better. Okay, but I should show you actually one more time side by side. Now that I'm in that light color mode, you can see very obviously that the iPad is going to have way more vibrancy and better contrast against this mode. All right, but when you're in direct sunlight, the iPad and that glass screen, it can get pretty hard on your eyes. So keep that in mind. All right, back to this guy. So when I'm in this mode, better at light diffusion. And you do not need to be in this mode to do what I'm going to do next, which is fire up this little wheel that's going to give me a few options. I can capture my signature, I can create a GIF, I can do a screenshot, I can doodle against a screenshot. So anything I have open on my screen, if I press this button, it takes screen capture of it, and then it allows me to doodle around it. Go like this. I can take a different color, I could do that. You can change the thickness, circle that one instead, and you can write messages. But here's kind of something disappointing, frankly. If I want to change the tip, I have to pay for it? Like, that's a little annoying, you know? So I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, the fountain pen, that's full featured. This is, I think, a ballpoint. Yeah, that's a ballpoint pen that's fully featured. You can change the colors and change the shape, or the thickness rather, like I showed you before. And there's no problem there. There's a quick toolbar here, so you can add different pens to it. But I don't know. I don't like the fact that you have to pay for anything. But at least it's not a super expensive cost. The other thing is, there's no built-in eraser. So you'd have to hold down the button and then scribble over, which is not that big of a deal. As you can see, it worked just fine, right? But you can't scribble over the screenshotted items themselves. So just a heads up on this particular feature. So again, you don't need to be in this display mode in order to access this wheel and do all the things I just showed you. But I thought, regardless, it's really cool to show that off. And as you can tell, this device is moving rapidly, right? Once you get moving, oh, this one you got to pay for too? Oh, it's just for activation. Okay, we'll worry about that later. So as I was saying, it's moving rapidly. There's a 90 hertz refresh rate against this 1200p resolution screen. It's 11 inches, so very similar to an iPad Pro in terms of size. And it functions just like an iPad would. If I open up my photos, you'll see them. Open up Chrome like I showed you at the very beginning. That's there too. But one of the prices that you pay, other than the viewing angles, is the responsiveness. What I've noticed is sometimes my taps don't always register. And I'm sure if I tap along here, it's going to work every single time because, of course, I'm demoing this. But I've had many situations where I'm tap, 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 even when I'm changing modes and I'm trying to go to, like, say, ink paper mode, where it just wouldn't work. But as you're seeing now, it's working just fine. So I guess take my word for it. Now, against something like a Remarkable, the Remarkable, as you can tell, this is my second attempt at making a video. The Remarkable is way more paper-like. Just like the iPad is more tablet-like and has, you know, better colors and bigger brightness, more brightness? It's more brighter here. When you're looking directly at it indoors, the Remarkable is way better for note-taking. And that's just the feel of the stylus against this paper, this paper-like display. So listen to this. Okay, hopefully that's translating against this. When I write against this screen on the XP Pen, it feels more like a tablet. It's definitely nowhere near as slippery as an Apple Pencil against an iPad, but it's not as crisp. It doesn't have that itty bitty bit of resistance like the Remarkable does. But that's what comes with the territory when you create a device as unique as this that straddles the fence between being your full-fledged everyday tablet and then also being your e-ink, note-taking, e-reader-like device. There's one elephant in the room, and it's probably not obvious, but that's heat. So one of the challenges with using an iPad, a laptop, or a phone in the summertime or in a warm climate, in direct sunlight for reading, which is what I love to do, it still produces heat. In fact, those devices that I mentioned, in order to combat the glare, that brightness is going to get jacked up automatically if you have your display in auto brightness mode, or you're just going to jack up the brightness. Otherwise, your eyes will get fatigued. And then even at full brightness, despite the heat that it creates, it's still not great. Whereas an actual e-ink device, whether it's this one from Remarkable or many of the others out there that have Android on them, by the way, not the latest versions of Android unless there's something new that's just come out. So there's some risk there in terms of security. But those devices don't produce as much heat and the batteries are great. So it can last a long time in precisely this mode, right? This accomplishing that thing you want of being a good note taker or a good e-reading device in sunlight. But getting the one challenge with a lot of those e-ink Android tablets is that those versions of Android can be 2 to 3 cycles old, like full-on versions. Sometimes they ship with like version 11 of Android. I think Android's on 15 right now. Whereas this one's completely up to date. And then the other challenge then becomes, well, if I don't get an Android-based one, I use my Remarkable for reading in the sunlight leisurely, how do I get articles on here? And there are ways to do it. Remarkable has a cool tool you can add to Chrome, and you can just send an article over to it. That does require synchronization. Whereas here, if I just want to read the GWW, I just go to the GWW, and now I'm there. I can make it look close to an e-ink device, but it's way more responsive and it has a higher refresh rate, and then it still produces the heat. And the battery life is not going to be as strong, okay? Battery life on this so far has been good. I'm not charging it more than every 4 to 5 days with light use. But my Remarkable I charge about once a month and I use it every day. So maybe it's twice a month, but I use it every single day. It's a very efficient tablet, whereas this is an Android tablet with just a really cool implementation of this technology. So, okay, $440. If it doesn't feel to you like this can be your everyday tablet, then I think the question becomes, is it a companion to an iPad or is it a companion to a Remarkable? For me, it would be more of a companion to my Remarkable. I feel like I don't need my iPad because I have this, but I still want my Remarkable for what it is, which is a distraction-free, very battery efficient device that's excellent at note-taking because of the feel. And there's just a whole suite of templates and stuff for taking notes. That's go look at my Remarkable videos if you want to get that story. Whereas this can do everything, just not as well as the iPad. So, all right, I really like this. I think it's cool. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks to XP Pen for sending it over. See you on the next one. Cheers.